Ladies and gents, PepperBelly back again, and welcome to Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. I know what many of you guys who've been following my channel for a long time are probably thinking right now, and that is, why the hell are you playing this game, especially after all the shit-talking you gave about it over the course of the closed betas. And well, I'm here to tell you that I made a mistake, I was wrong, and this is the best game to have graced the universe ever. I'm joking, that's a complete freaking lie, but let me put you at ease and tell you that I am not a hypocrite. I did not go and purchase this game. I merely snuck into Ubisoft, found the head developer of this game, told him that I went to his house, met his wife, applied anesthesia, knocked her out, and put a copy of Rainbow Six Ravenshield in her uterus. And that in 12 months, she will give birth to a product that far exceeds what he has spent over 12 months developing. The labor will be painless, it will be beautiful, and it'll be the best thing to happen to the world ever. Yet again. And then I stole a copy of the game and left. Anyway, in all seriousness, I bought a new headset, the HyperX Cloud 2. Or just 2. Cloud 2. HyperX Cloud 2. And it came with Rainbow Six Siege. So in my mind, since I kind of wanted to see what happened to Rainbow Six Siege, plus the recent release of the new map and the JTF2, which is kind of like my pride and joy, essentially, I kind of wanted to see what was up, but I didn't want to pay for the game. And I said I never would because the game cost $80 Canadian, partly due to the crap dollar we have now because our economy is not exactly ideal in Canada right now. And like I said, I didn't want to pay full price, and it was $80. So I saw on Reddit that there was a deal for this HyperX Cloud 2s, and they came with Rainbow Six Siege. And they were really cheap. And they were really good headsets. They were, like, these are headsets that are highly regarded, really highly rated. I mean, even Linus Tech Tips, if you guys are familiar with him, said they weren't crappy. They're actually really good. And in fact, they're not the gimmicky, typical gaming headset you would expect. And after using them, I can tell you right now, the build quality of these headsets far exceeds any other headset I have ever used from gaming companies. That includes Razer and both Plantronics. It's the greatest thing ever. My Plantronics headset was slowly dying. The mute button stopped working. Some of the switches were just kind of being finicky. Then again, it was plastic, made cheap. So this headset is immaculate. It is such a... I mean, I wanted to get regular headphones because most audiophiles would recommend to get just standardized, regular, high-quality headphones. In fact, you can get probably like $50 headphones that far exceed like a $200 gaming headset in terms of quality and soundstage. But anyway, this is actually a really good headset. If any of you guys are in the market for a headset, I would recommend it. And plus, I would just recommend getting the bundle with Rainbow Six Siege if you can. That said, I pretty much paid the price of Rainbow Six Siege for a headset. So it's $80 Canadian, as I said, for the game on Steam. And I paid like $100 American for this game. So like $141, tax, shipping all included, which is actually pretty damn good, considering I paid the price of the headset alone, because the headset was actually on sale. The headset price was cheaper than actually buying the headset without the bundle. So as you can imagine, I got a game essentially free coming with a headset, and to me that's ideal, especially coming from a Rainbow Six game, which I did not plan on buying. I never wanted to buy it because of all the reasons I stated in pretty much every video I've ever put out about Rainbow Six Siege, which was actually a lot of videos, considering how much I detested the game, and how much I didn't like it. However, I have accepted what this game is, which is not what I wanted, because obviously you guys are familiar with my channel. Most of you should be. And if you are, you'll know that I do not like games that are based on realism and authenticity, given the title of the game, but end up being completely the opposite. And that's what Rainbow Six Siege is a giant disappointment to the old diehard fans of the Rainbow Six franchise. But like I said, I accepted the game for what it is. And like I've said in many of my past Rainbow Six videos talking about Siege, I always said the game was still fun. Alright, I never discounted or discredited the fact that the game is still very much enjoyable to play. It's just not what I expected from a game with a Rainbow Six title, especially coming from games like Raven Shield. And even though the series took a turn when Lockdown was released and then Vegas came out, it still had some level of authenticity and realism to it. Well, obviously the authenticity is there, but the realism was still there. In this game, it's not. Like, there's a lot of gamey features in it. And by gamey, I'm talking like just the operators themselves. You know, they got these weird nicknames, they have these special abilities that each operator has. That spells gamey all over it. Compared to an authentic game where every operator is essentially the same, but they each utilize whichever equipment you decide to pick and use in that moment. For any given mission you're going on, you are able to load out and kit yourself with what you need for that mission. In this game, in Siege, it's a 5 versus 5 multiplayer competitive game, where you're just using whatever special abilities you have with your particular operator, which obviously doesn't translate to real life at all, because some of the stuff you get is just not what operators actually use in the real world. But again, it's still a fun and enjoyable game, and even looking at it now, because I've been hearing a lot about how Rainbow Six Siege has improved over the beta, in terms of netcode, hit detection, all that stuff, and I can tell you from what I've played up until recently, it's actually a lot better. The hit detection, everything just seems to be a lot more solidified and polished to make the experience less bullshit, right? Like, you're not going to be running into those scenarios where you're just like calling bullshit all the time. Usually when you die, it's because of player error, user error. You screwed up, it costs you your life, and that's actually the best way to go about it. That's actually how tactical shooters and military simulators should be. It should be error on the operator's part, on the player's part. If you do something wrong, that's what should kill you. It shouldn't be some weird gamey, mechanic-y bullshit thing that happens that completely hampers your ability to do something and gets you killed as a result. Rainbow Six Siege doesn't fall prey to that, which is a good thing. It actually is kind of now more suited to what I would expect in a tactical shooter, although it still has a lot of arcade elements put in place. For one, I think the game would benefit significantly from having actual weapon collision within the environment, but alas, it does not. It goes the Call of Duty route where basically you can press your face right up against the wall with your sights and weapon up without any issue whatsoever and shoot around the corner, because the bullets originate from the center of your screen instead of the actual muzzle and barrel of the weapon. This is a very arcade-like feature, as you can imagine, and head glitching is present because of this. And I've noticed it many, many times when playing this game, where players will lean around corners, or they'll be rappelling in through a window, hanging there, and they'll be able to shoot at you and you'll be taking damage, even though the line of sight is not there for you. But from their screen, they can see you clear as day. And that's problematic. I think that that can really detract actual competitive play, because now one player has an advantage due to poor game mechanics that are focused more on giving you that arcade experience. Overall, it's not a bad thing. It's just not desired. It's something that I think many players that prefer some level of functionality that delivers a true experience, something you would expect to happen in real life, it just kind of disappoints us. Another thing, which you're going to see shortly, is the disconnect from the clients and the servers, where things just do not unfold as they would in natural gameplay, and this is very detrimental to the player experience and the overall game experience, where you will breach through walls, and for one individual, the wall is still there. Like, you're going to see me right here. I'm getting shot through the wall, I can't see through it because the wall is still there. And on their screen, through the kill cam, they shoot me through the wall, but I can't see anything. The wall was breached. I saw it. But the wall didn't actually disappear. It didn't break down as you would expect, because for whatever reason, the client and the server did not sync correctly, and as a result, I died due to unfair issues within the game itself. There was nothing I could have done to avoid it, because on my screen, everything wasn't happening as it actually was. So, that happens more often than not. The game has improved in netcode and hit detection, but it seems to have faltered in that area, because I've never seen that before until the final game. And it's kind of annoying, and hopefully it can get fixed, because it has, like I said, happened more often than not. And it's kind of annoying, right? You don't want that to happen in a game that's about competitive, very precision-based gameplay. And speaking of precision, we're going to talk about the actual hitboxes on the characters, because this is something I feel is necessary to discuss when we're talking about tactical shooters and just shooters in general. The hitboxes in this game are massive. They feel very arcade-like, similar to that of Call of Duty. A lot of people do not like to make that comparison. They don't want to say this feels like Call of Duty, but it really does, alright? I've played, back when I was playing the beta, I was playing Black Ops 2 and Rainbow Six Siege back-to-back to make comparisons, and it feels very similar. Trying to argue that fact is just, like, come on. You really can't argue it. And although the game is definitely slower than Call of Duty, you're not going to be sprinting around, jumping over things, and dolphin diving, the actual gunplay and mechanics are very similar. And headshots in this game are very, very easy to get. Now, if you guys are familiar with Level Cap on YouTube, he made a video talking about why one-shot headshots in Rainbow Six Siege were bad. And I tend to disagree with him. I remember even Blue Drake made a satire video discussing it, saying that, you know, he disagrees strongly with that. You know, bullets should be one-shot hits to the head, it should kill you. And the reason why Level Cap said that one-shot headshots were detrimental to gameplay was because it just took skill out of the game in some ways, that it's too easy to just drop a guy with a headshot, because getting headshots really is incredibly easy. And the thing is, the hitboxes seem to be quite big. There's also hit markers, which makes it incredibly easy to determine when you're hitting someone in a vital point. And on top of that, everybody fires their weapons in a run and gun, full auto spray like fashion, which again correlates with Call of Duty style arcade shooting mechanics. Tactical shooters that focus on realism usually tend to go with the route of not making fully automatic viable beyond like 10 meters. Because in real life, you will never use fully automatic. Almost every single Special Forces operator ever fires their weapon in semi-automatic, because fully automatic is a waste of ammunition. It's incredibly unreliable for actually killing something, unless it's like right in front of you. And it's just plain ridiculous, right? The only time you will ever use fully automatic is when you're trying to suppress a target using a light machine gun. In Special Ops, if you're carrying a saw or whatever, then they may use it for that. Otherwise, semi-automatic is king, because shot placement matters far more than rapid suppression on a target. You want to be able to kill a target quickly, and in fact, in real life, suppressing a target by using semi-automatic is incredibly effective. In fact, one thing I remember learning when I was in the military was suppressing a target by firing at a slow rate. There's rapid rate, there's slow rate, and there's moderate rate. Now, slow rate is like, I believe, if I remember correctly, it was like 1 to 5 rounds every 30 seconds or something like that. Very, very slow, right? You're not shooting to kill, you're basically firing, or you're shooting to kill, it's for precision. And if there's a guy behind cover, let's just picture you're about 50 meters away or 100 meters away from someone who's shooting at you. And instead of a bunch of rounds flying all around you and you're kind of panicking because there's a crap load of bullets flying at you, instead you want to just keep that individual's head down. So let's say you're squeezing off one round every 10 seconds and it lands very, very close to him. So picture being behind cover, and then every 10 seconds, a bullet will like kick up dirt within feet of you, showing that it feels like you're being essentially pinned down by a sniper. That's the sensation you're getting. You know, that feeling of if you even peek out a little bit, you're done. That bullet's gonna hit you, and he's not gonna miss his mark. That is a very effective way of suppressing. It works in many games that focus on realism. In Rainbow Six Siege, in most games that play out like this, players rely too much on just spraying the shit out of the area the enemy is in. And that does not usually lead towards fun gameplay experiences, because that just kind of correlates again with the entire arcade element of games, because you're not going to be doing that. You're not as reckless as that in real life. You got a lot of things to worry about when you're dealing with ballistics. Having ricocheting bullets off of walls. One thing you also learn in the military is when you're stacking up on doors, you stand about a foot off of walls, because the way ricochets work. People tend to think that ricochets act like light bouncing off a mirror. If you have a mirror in your room and you flash a laser at it, you picture it to bounce off on a very specific angle relative to your position. The same thing could be said with balls. If you have like a baseball or a tennis ball and you throw it at a wall on a certain angle, you expect it to bounce off, complementing that angle you initially threw it at. The thing with actual bullets is they tumble on impact. And if a bullet hits a wall, it's not going to bounce off on the same angle it hit it at. It'll actually travel along the wall, tumbling. So if you're stacking up and you're close to a wall, this is why every time soldiers watch movies and they see, you know, Hollywood style, I'm putting my back up against the cover I'm using, they cringe really, really hard, especially if they're incredibly judgmental and picky, because it doesn't line up with what you learn, because it's a Hollywood style portrayal of actual combat. You will never ever put your back up against cover. You will never ever touch the cover you're using, because if the bullet ricochets off that cover, it's going to hit you and it's going to suck, especially how it's tumbling and it's usually traveling at a slightly reduced velocity, meaning that the stopping power and the actual impact is more painful. It's a little bit more significant. It's like when you're firing a hollow point round, it has a more kinetic punch behind the bullet compared to something with higher penetration. If a bullet hits you while it's traveling sideways, as you can imagine, that's more blunt trauma versus penetration, and that's not what you want. But anyway, getting back on the main point I'm trying to make is that hitboxes and fully automatic do not mix well together when you have arcade mechanics, because it just amplifies that arcade feel in a way that just destroys what it actually feels like to fire a weapon and get shot at. One thing I distinctly remember from my military career is when I finally got to see a 5.56 bullet in front of me. It's a lot smaller than you think. In fact, when you look at it, you constantly think to yourself, how the hell does this actually kill a person? Because it's so small, it's almost like being hit with a needle. And if you ever actually heard a bullet crack past your head, you kind of get the sensation of what it would actually feel like to get hit from that bullet. It's kind of the same idea if someone throws a baseball past you, and you can feel the way the shockwave, like the air that's kind of processing around that ball, as it passes you, you can feel it, right? So you can kind of get an idea of what that is going to feel like on impact. It's like that kind of sixth sense sensation you can kind of picture. And when you hear a bullet crack past you, it gives you that exact same sensation. You know that it would be a snap, a very hard impact, and a pinch. And that's the best way I can describe it. It's more like being pinched than actually punched. And I've never actually been shot, so I can't really tell you from personal experience of being shot. And I've never actually really been shot at in combat. I've been shot at, I've had bullets fly over my head by mere feet, but I've never actually, it wasn't with intent to kill. You know, it's not like they're trying to kill me, so I didn't really have the fear of getting shot, even though bullets did ricochet and have struck troops in the area. Now, either way, the bullets are tiny, and the trajectory and the ballistics of those bullets need to be shown in a realistic way that would actually alter gameplay significantly. Like if you removed hit scan from most games with the crappy hitboxes that are usually implemented into those games, that alone can completely change the feel of the game. If you were firing real projectiles that were registered in the game, similar to that of Arma 3 or any other game that fires real projectiles from the weapons in this game, and they originated from the barrel, and they were actual projectiles to scale, you will notice just how different the game would feel. You would be missing your mark a lot more because the need for precision would be significantly higher. You would have to be on target, hitting in vital areas in order to deal damage to the target. It's not hit scan. It completely changes the way things actually feel. It's like picture playing paintball. You know, if you're playing paintball, you'll notice that most paintballs are rated for 300 feet per second, or lower, because 300 feet per second is the maximum you're allowed to use in a recreational sport. Otherwise, you have the chance of breaking bones and causing injury. So less than 300 feet per second, you can tell that when you're firing paintballs, it's really easy to miss. If you're off target by like a hair, just a hair, like a very small amount, over the distance that it takes to reach that target, that can actually create an angle that'll ultimately miss the target significantly, depending on where the target is and how far away they are. The littlest adjustments can completely drastically change things. Again, it's like I discussed many times in the past, where basically if you're firing, or if you're using binoculars, right, the amplification, the magnification that you're seeing, the sensitivity is significantly higher. It's perceived at a higher rate. And what I mean is, like, the littlest movements you make seem so jarring and so significant, even though it's not. Like, if you're aiming through a really, really high magnification binocular, you're looking through it, and you're shaking, you know, your arms are fatiguing, you're shaking, you'll notice that it seems like the world is having an earthquake, right? Because it's so much more intense, right? How turbulent the whole thing is. And it's because of that. It's because of how amplified it actually is. You're looking at something very far away and at a very, very finite field of view. And bullets work the same way. Essentially, the littlest movements you make can ultimately drastically change if you're going to hit that target or not. It's going to change the trajectory in a very profound way. And this is why allowing bullets to originate from the barrel gives you the most authentic and realistic feeling of firing a weapon. Because it has all those realistic factors put in place. Muzzles will naturally drift. If your character is animated correctly, where the muzzle will move as much as it would in the real world if you were walking around, that alone makes it less viable to pinpoint and hip-fire targets at very far ranges, because there is change in the actual trajectory of the muzzle. In order to make sure you get that shot on target, you have to take up a proper sight picture and make sure your sight is lined up on that target to ensure that your bullet will in fact hit him. Otherwise, the smallest little nudge of your sight can make that bullet completely miss. And with hitboxes in the arcade style that they are here, even though your sight can be off target slightly, it can still register the hit. And as a result, like you've seen throughout the gameplay, it's very easy to just light targets up and get headshots. And then you need to have damage modifiers and all these weird gaming mechanics that completely alter the way that health and actually perceived ballistics really work on a human being when you're being hit and struck by a bullet. So all this said, obviously none of these changes will ever happen to Rainbow Six Siege. I think ultimately it can drastically change the gameplay and make it better and give a more accurate, realistic depiction of actually firing and maneuvering a weapon, but it's not going to happen because the game is going for that competitive scene. And as a result, the game is still very much fun. It's still an enjoyable game. I still have fun with it, minus the bugs and the issues that I have with it, the problems that the game still has. But as a game, it's fun, and I enjoy it. Would I pay for it? Absolutely not, and that's why I didn't. My name's PepperBelly, thank you for joining me on this video, and I'll see you on the next one.